Hello and welcome back to our channel. So in this particular video we are discussing a very important poem by Donne, that is The Flea. So before we actually start with the text of the poem, I have a request to the viewers of this particular video to keep an open mind, because this poem discusses some sensitive topics, so sensitive and some controversial themes in this particular poem. So it is better if you keep an open mind and try to analyze the things in a liberal way. Okay, so let us start with the poem. And again, before we start, let us have some understanding of what this poem is about. So in this particular poem, there are two people here. Two people. One is the male counterpart, that is the speaker of the poem, and the speaker is asking for physical union with the female counterpart, female interest. Okay, so the speaker here is wanting for a sexual union or a physical union with the speaker, and to facilitate this particular demand of the speaker, he is using the example of the flea. And how he uses the example of the flea, we will discuss that with the due course of this poem. Okay, so let us start. Mark this flea and mark in this. So what is the meaning of this particular sentence? By saying mark this flea, he is saying mark means to pay attention to a particular detail. So what he's asking his lover to pay some attention, pay some specific attention to this particular flea. Mark this, mark but this flea, and mark in this. So he's asking for his lover to pay some attention to that flea. How little that which thou deniest me is. So in this particular line, he's asking to consider his request. To consider his request of what? His request of some physical union with the speaker. So he's asking, it is a very small request by me. It is a very insignificant request by me, but you are denying for that request. You are not accepting my request. You are not agreeing for that. So he, according to the speaker, that request of this physical union or this sexual union is a very insignificant, is a very simple request. And even though this request is quite simple, the lover, the female lover, is not agreeing to that, and he's really sad about this thing. So in the third line, it sucked me first and now sucks thee. So now on, so from now on, he begins, giving the example of the flea. Okay, so how he uses that, let us see here. In the third line, he says, it sucked me first and now sucks thee. So by sucking, it means, so for example, whenever you see a flea or a mosquito, it will bite you and it will, suck some blood out of you. So similarly, in this poem as well, we see a flea which is, biting people and it is sucking out some blood. So what has happened in this particular scenario? This flea had first bitten the speaker, that is the male interest. The flea has bitten the male person here, and it has taken out some blood, it has sucked some blood, and after that it is now biting the female lover, it is now biting the lover of the speaker, and it has also, sucked some blood out of the female lover as well. So now this flea has blood of two, both of the lovers. Okay, so this is quite clear here. So in the fourth line, he says, and in this flea our two bloods mingled be. So because of, because this flea has bitten two of us, both of us, and because of that, this flea now has the blood of both of us. Okay, so our blood in a way is now mingled with each other. Okay, so this symbolically represents a kind of physical union, a kind of sexual union between the lover and the speaker. Okay, yes. So in the fifth line, thou knowest that this cannot be said. Yes, in the fifth line, he says, thou knowest that this cannot be said. The speaker insists that mingling of blood, though the flea cannot be considered as a sin, a source of shame or a loss of woman's virginity. So he says, thou knowest that this cannot be said, a sin nor shame nor loss of maidenhood. So this union that has happened now, okay, although the lover is, denying for the actual union between the speaker and the lover, the female is denying for that. So even after this denial, even after this, restraining from this physical union, a kind of union has already happened. Okay, so where that union had happened, so as said in the example, that a flea has, taken blood from both the male lover and the female lover, and in the body of the flea, that blood is mixed now, right? So because of that, there is a kind of union between these two lovers, and because of this, a kind of sacred union has been made of these two lovers. And because of that, he says there is no sin, there is no shame in this particular union. Okay, because we are not actually entangled with each other, we are not actually, making love to each other. This is, happening out of our body, out of our physical body, right? Nor loss of maidenhood. So he says, although a kind of union has happened between us, between our blood, but still you are virgin. Still you have not lost your virginity. Okay, so this union. Okay, so this has not corrupted you. This has not given a stain to your honor. Okay. Yes. So let us now discuss line number 7. Yet this enjoys before it woo, and pampered swells with one blood made of two. And this, alas, is more than we would do. So in these particular lines, he's saying, although it is quite ironical that a tiny significant flea has achieved a physical union that these two lovers have not achieved yet. Okay, so these two lovers, of course, they want a kind of physical union, but because of some reason, because of some societal reasons or some family pressure, they have not been able to, physically unite with each other. So even though they are human beings, even though they have more liberty, even though they can, make better choices, but they have not been able to fulfill their desires. But despite it being a very small flea, despite it being a very insignificant part of the nature, it has achieved its purpose. It has, united two lovers. This flea has united two lovers. So this flea had done, more bold things than the actual two lovers. And this flea, before this mingling of blood, this flea did not have to woo the other part, did not have to impress anybody. See, for example, what happens usually whenever the person is trying to impress the other person. For example, if a male lover is trying to impress the female lover, he will, try different things to first impress the female lover, and only after that he can, get what he wants. He can, only achieve what he wants actually. But in this case, because it's only a flea, so this flea did not have to impress anybody. So it has gone simply taking out blood, and there was no need to woo anybody, no need to impress anybody. So because of sucking blood out of these two people, the flea is now swollen, and it has combined blood of both these people, and something the speaker and his lover are unwilling to allow themselves. So even though we see a kind of union between these two lovers, which is outside their body, of course, which is in the body of the flea, we see the union of their blood, right? But these two lovers, actually, in reality, their physical bodies are not able to meet each other, right? So we see a kind of symbolical, a kind of metaphysical union between these two lovers. Okay, now let us move to the next stanza now. Oh, stay three lives in one fleece pair. So in this particular line, we see a description of where the female lover is trying to kill the flea now. Okay, she's trying to destroy the flea. She's trying to kill the flea. And after, observing this particular act by the female lover, the male speaker, is now requesting the female lover to spare the flea, to not kill the flea. And what is the reason given by him? He says there are three lives in the flea now. Okay, there is not only one life of the flea. There are actually three lives, three human lives in the flea. So where we almost nay more than married are. So he says, in a way we are married, in a way we are united, in a different way, right? We are not actually united, that is true, but in a way, in a what is that? In a spiritual way, we are united through this flea, because of this flea. Yes. So this flea is you and I and this. Okay. So he says, in this flea, there is also you. There is also I am also there in this flea. You are also there, and this our marriage bed and marriage temple is. And he says that there is an essence of you, there is an essence of me as well in this particular flea, because it has taken blood from us. All right. So there are three people here. The first one is you. The second one is I am is there, and the third one is a union of our two bloods. That is our a kind of baby that they have, a kind of unborn baby, which is produced out of their love, which is produced out of their union of the blood. Okay. So he says, this flea is you and I, and this our marriage bed and temple is. So he says, In a way, the flea has now become our marriage bed, and it has also become our marriage temple. So why does he say that it has become their marriage temple? Because in a way, this flea has facilitated the marriage between the female and the male lover, because their blood is united, right? So this unification of blood is, symbolized as marriage here, is, described as a kind of marriage. So this flea has, played the part of a temple where the marriage between the female lover and the male lover is being performed. So though parents grudge, and you we are met. So although there are, restrictions from your parents, although your parents did not allow for our marriage, even after that we are now, we are together now. Our blood is, our blood has united, so in a way we are also united. So even though your parents were rejecting our marriage, rejecting our union, but even after all those rejections, even after all those challenges, at last we are united. So, and clustered in these living walls of jet. So he says, so the body of the flea now, okay, so he's, personifying the blood, okay. He says that the blood, that my blood is there in the flea, right? So my blood is nothing but me only, okay. My blood represents me as a person, and your blood represents you as a person. So we both are there in the body of the flea now, okay. And this the body of the flea is nothing but a cloister, okay. So it is like a home to them. Yes. And this cloister, it has these living walls of jet. Yes, and the body of the flea, which is now, flashing like a jet. So he compares the body of the flea with a jet, okay, because it is now looking like a jet only. Yes. So though use make you apt to kill me, let not let not to that self murder added be, and sacrilege three sins in killing three. So he says that even you have some anger against me, even though you have some anger against me, and it is quite fair that you want to murder me, okay. But let me warn you, let me tell you that you should not do that. You should not kill the flea, because you're not only murdering me, you're not only murdering the flea, you're actually committing three murders, right? Because there is one part in the flea that is of you as well. So the one part of the female lover is also there in the flea. So if the female lover kills the flea, she will also be killing herself as well. So it is a kind of self murder. If she kills the flea, she's also killing herself, because the flea has some amount of blood of the female lover as well, right? So that is why she will be committing self murder or suicide. And sacrilege three sins in killing three. So if you kill only this flea, you are actually committing three murders. So it is a kind of sin, right? Yeah. So committing murders is a kind of sin only. So that is why he says. So only if you try to kill this single flea here, you will be actually committing three murders. So we are now, going with the last stanza of this particular poem, and this is quite important as well. So cruel and sudden hast thou since. So by the beginning of this stanza, we get to know that the female lover has now killed the flea. She has, murdered the flea at last. So he says the male lover is now, the speaker is saying how cruel and sudden you are, okay, how hastily, how hurriedly you have killed the flea, purpled by purpled thy nail in blood of innocence. So because of killing the flea, her her nails have caught some stain of the blood of the flea. So her nails now have become purple because of the blood. And he says that, there is a kind of paint on your nail which is now, purple blood. It is a blood of innocence, right? Because the flea had, not committed any crime. He says, wherein could this flea guilty be? So what was the guilt of this? What was the crime of this flea? What crime did this flea commit, that you have, murdered this flea, except in that drop which it sucked from thee. So only one drop of blood, this flea had taken from you, and because of that, only because of one drop of blood, you have killed the flea. So is it that big of a crime to you take one drop of blood from you? He's asking her. Yet thou triumphest and sayest that thou findest not thyself nor me the weaker now. So Now the female lover is speaking now. So she's really happy that she had killed the flea, and she says, I find not thyself nor me any weaker now. So she says, even though I have killed the flea, I don't feel weaker, and I even don't find you weaker even after killing the flea. So what was happening here? Earlier, the speaker was saying, the male speaker was saying that the female speaker should not kill the flea, because if she kills the flea, she will also be killing the male speaker and the female speaker as well, because there was blood of these two people as well, right? So she was, in a way killing all these three people, right? But after actually killing the flea, nobody is feeling weaker now, nor the female lover, nor the male speaker of the poem. Nobody is feeling weaker. So actually this killing of the flea had no effect on their bodies. It is true, then learn how false fears be. Just so much honor when you yieldest to me will waste as this flea's death took life from thee. So by using this analogy, by using this explanation, the speaker, the male speaker, now turns the table. Now he uses her own explanation against her. Now he says, okay, you are quite right that even after killing the flea, we don't feel any weaker, we don't feel any fatigue or any pain in our bodies. Yes, so it was true that the flea had nothing to do with us. Okay, even though the flea had our blood, even though the flea had some essence of our body, even after killing the flea, we don't feel any weaker. So exactly like that, if we unite with each other now, if we unite physically with each other, if we perform a physical encounter with each other, you will not lose anything. Okay, so this is a kind of example that he uses to convince her to have a physical relationship with him. Yes, so towards the end, he completes the circle now. At the beginning, he was, requesting for a physical union. So after giving this analogy of a flea, after using this, a very descriptive example of a flea, now he comes back to his central point, that is the union with the female lover. Now he says, just so much honor when thou yieldest to me will waste as this flea's death took life from thee. So only that much honor will be taken away from you. As compared to the blood taken from our bodies by the flea, meaning there will be no significant decrease from your honor, there will be no significant decrease from your from your honor, from your prestige, if you have a physical union with me, if you have a sexual encounter with me. So as this flea's death took life from thee, so as this flea has not taken any life from us, as this flea has not taken any significant part of our life, just like that, this physical union will not take anything from us. Okay, so this will not be a stain on your honor, this will just be another thing, and this will not affect you at all. So this is the poem, quite an interesting poem. So John Donne, as you know, is a metaphysical poet, and in almost all his poems, we see a kind of different depiction of love, a different depiction of religion, and the spiritual life as well, right? So this is again a very interesting poem, and I hope that you have got some information from this particular analysis of this poem. And thank you for watching. If you want us to cover some more poems or some more other topics from literature, please comment them down and we will be covering them really soon. Thank you so much for watching.